we've been asked a few questions online, and we also have both chosen 4 other topics.
Yeah, a couple of other topics just to discuss and talk about, and what we've been up to on the ride. So yeah, we thought we would cover them, do something different rather than our usual kind of videos, and mix things up a little bit.
Alright, so we're picking them randomly.
Yes.
We don't know what the other topics that the other person has chosen are, so it will be an off-the-cuff answer.
We're both going to answer each other's questions as well. So.
Yeah. Alright, so
you going to choose?
we have them all here.
Choose one.
Alright, first one.
If you can read my handwriting.
First topic, which we've been asked about, bikes.
Bikes.
So, one thing I don't think we've mentioned yet in the videos, our bikes have names. So my bike is Allison, and your bike is?
My bike's Roger.
So they're named after the first 2 passes we went up over in BC.
Yeah.
So mine's Allie for short. And,
I guess mine could be Rog for short. But yeah, we were kind of thinking we should name our bikes, and we were struggling throughout the whole ride. And that's what we came up with.
Yeah, we probably came up with it, in Alberta, I think we came up with the idea.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've ever mentioned it, so that's the names of our bikes.
So yeah, the bikes we've got are identical. We've both got Brody Argus 1.0s, and I think there's a 2015 model. We got the same bikes because it seems to make sense on spare parts and everything. You don't have to learn another bike if something goes wrong. I know all bikes are pretty similar, but both got disc brakes. They've both been really reliable up to now. I mean, probably best to talk about what we've had go wrong so far. Okay, so you can go first, Scott.
So I've had one puncture, which I got just outside of Sault Ste. Marie, which was probably about not quite 5,000 kilometers in.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
It was a tiny bit of radial, a bit of metal, and we couldn't find it inside the tires, so we kept riding, and then another 40k it slowly flattened again, so it was a slow puncture.
I had to pump it up 6 times that day.
And yeah, so we finally got to where we were going, and I think you found it by looking on the outside of the tire.
Yeah, it was literally, you could hardly see it. It was a tiny bit of
metal,
a bit of wire.
Yeah.
But once we pulled that out, touch wood, pumped it up, and that tire's still going. So yeah, Michelle's still got the 2 original tires with 1 puncture on her bike. If we stick on that subject of punctures, I've had 1 puncture as well. Mine was only 5 days ago, 6 or 7 days ago, just before we got to Ottawa. It was the day we went into Ottawa, wasn't it? No, it was the day before we went into Ottawa. Mine was a lot more obvious. I went over a huge nail, probably about 1 inch or 2 actually. It was massive. That was very easy to find and fix. However, when looking at my tyre, I realised that my rear tyre was not bowled. It probably could have gone a few more miles or kilometres, but it was due a change. So it was perfect timing really, because we went to Ottawa and got a new tyre, and left the old one there just to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Better to be safe than sorry. So yeah.
But Schwabe marathons are actually harder to find than you think. So Ottawa's a major city, but we struggled to find that tyre.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting a Continental Touring Plus tyre, which even though it's the same 32 size as his other tyre, it does not look anything like the same size in width. So you ended up swapping them around, didn't you? So the Marathon from the front went to the back, and the Continental's in the front, so the back carries more weight, so they wear quicker.
Yeah.
You didn't think it felt at all safe?
No. It was like having a slick on the back tyre. It was sort of kicking out because of the weight, because we carry more on the back of the bike than the front. So every time I sort of made a sharp turn or a sudden movement on the bike, I could feel the back wheel kind of sway out. It's a funny feeling, but when you've been riding a bike for so long, any minor detail you feel. So what else? You've had nothing else really on your bike,
so my bike's been great. We've done preventative maintenance by getting tune-ups in Winnipeg, which is almost the halfway mark.
Yeah.
We've been trying to keep the chains clean.
Yeah.
And
chains and the components are the big one. We've been trying to keep as clean as possible.
We haven't done as well the second half of the trip keeping them clean as the first half. Just the places we've stayed haven't been great places to, you know, haul out your bike and start cleaning greasy chains, but we've cleaned them when we could in parks and stuff. Yeah, so we more done preventative, but we had the tune-up in Winnipeg. You had new ball bearings greased in Toronto because we heard noise. So when we heard noise when we're in a city on a rest day, we try to address it.
And now we're just outside of Quebec City now, and I've got a click on my bottom bracket. When they looked at it and re-greased and everything, they said it's damaged, so I need to get that fixed as well. So anyone who rides a bike a lot will know what I'm talking about. When you've got a click or a creak or anything and you're riding it all day, it drives you around the bend. So I'm desperate to get that fixed. So yeah,
been good to ride.
They've been great. Yeah, really good bikes. I recommend them.
For touring, they're really good bikes. Yeah,
definitely recommend them. Right.
Cool. All right, enough of that topic.
Next subject.
Yeah. This is Nathan's. He has put best Tim Hortons. So we stop at Tim Hortons a lot, but at the beginning, because we were cold and we wanted something warm, and they're easily found on the side of the highway in Canada. They're a donut/coffee shop here in Canada, for those that don't know.
Google it.
Yep. Every Canadian who leaves Canada misses Tim Hortons. It's just a Canadian thing that every Canadian, no matter East Coast, West Coast, North, South, can relate to, basically.
So
Tim Hortons.
Stop avoiding it. Best Tim Hortons. There's been so many. I can't actually think of one now.
Golden.
Golden. What was that?
Because the reason for Golden being the best, we had a really long day. I was really tired. I was really pushing my limits that day. It was getting dark. It was getting a bit chilly. We rolled into Golden. All I wanted was warm food in my belly.
Oh, did we? We had chili, didn't we?
Yeah. And then to top it off, the people sitting next to us, who Nathan was talking to while I was in line, then decided, I guess, that we looked malnourished, and gave us $40 to buy a decent breakfast the next day. So that Tim Hortons will probably stand out in my mind.
I would agree with that. It's a bit of a loose question because there's been so many I can't remember them all. They've all been good, but yeah, I would say that one's probably the most memorable because of the lovely couple who gave us a really nice also to go and feed yourselves, which was very nice.
Yeah.
Right, I'm choosing the next one.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun. So this is one of mine. It's best cycling day and worst cycling day.
Ooh.
You want to go? Should I go first?
All right.
For me, I think my best cycling day and the most fun I had, and it's because I like going fast. And we set ourselves a tiny little target, which we shouldn't do on these kind of trips, but we wanted to do a 200k day. And I think for me it was a day when we did 240k with the tailwind. 230, sorry, and I just felt like we could just go on and on and on. That was a good day. And I talk about it a lot to people who ask me that question on the trip, so for me that was my best day.
We also thought at that point we were never going to get to experience these amazing prairie tailwinds, and we finally did when we were coming nearer to the end of the prairies. So we're very grateful to experience that.
It wasn't very picturesque or anything like that, but it was just memorable because it was fun being able to go that fast on a fully loaded touring bike for once, and everybody kept on talking about these tailwinds that we'll get in the prairies, and we never saw them, and then we finally got them. So for me that was my best.
Mine, I mean, I would agree with that for sure, but mine also was a couple days ago. We were just cycling along and we had ice cream and it was sunny and we weren't fighting any winds and it wasn't too hot, and it was just, I said to Nathan, oh, this is what I imagined a perfect touring day would be like, you know, enjoying the ice cream, a nice breeze, the sunny weather, just enjoying riding. It was pretty flat, so there's no like real hard work.
It was a couple of days ago.
Yeah, even though, I mean, there are other smaller moments like that earlier on.
The thing is, well, this question is a bit difficult because we still got riding to do as well. Yeah. So there may be another
better day. But yeah, it all just kind of came together, that perfect day for me, what I imagined to be like before we left.
What about worst? I've got.
Oh, I know. Oh, the Nipigon to Terrace Bay.
Oh, okay.
That was the worst.
The Rafa Women's
100 day.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel very well that day. I wasn't 100%. The weather kept getting worse, and it started off all right, and then it got colder and wetter and foggier. We couldn't see the road. That was kind of cool for a little while, but then it got tedious when you can't see anything around you. And then we were at a cafe having soup and trying to warm up and dry, and I was very seriously tempted to check into the motel next door, but we were 14k away from the Rafa Women's 100 goal of 100k. And just as we were riding to our destination, it got darker and darker, and I just knew it was going to pour down on us. And so we tried to push it, and then literally the last 30 seconds we got poured down on, but not completely drenched because we ducked under cover. So we were very lucky timing wise that we only got 30 seconds of the downpour, but that day was just pushing me to my limits, so that was probably one of my worst days.
It sounds terrible.
The mosquitoes.
I've got two. That's not a riding day. That's not a riding day.
Yeah, okay.
I've kind of got two, which sounds really bad, doesn't it? But one because of how I felt, and then one because of us two. So the one day I felt terrible was riding to Moose Jaw, where we did about 150k, and I bonked, and people will know what I'm talking about if you cycle a lot. Basically, if you bonk, you just haven't fueled up properly during the day, eaten enough, and I just hit a brick wall, and I actually had some sort of problems with my Achilles. I had knee problems because my bike wasn't still set up properly. So for me, that was my worst day. And then the other one was going into Sault Ste. Marie probably with Michelle when she got her puncture, and unfortunately I found out earlier that Michelle's cat had passed away, which is very sad, and I couldn't tell her straight away because I wanted to make sure we got there in time and got there okay, because I didn't think she'd make it if I told her halfway through. So yeah, for lots of different reasons, and we argued quite a lot on that day as well, because we were pumping up the tyre and it was hot and we were bothered, and we were just, so for me that day
is probably up there.
There you go.
Yeah, it was. And then obviously for me, at the end of the day, I found out my cat died after having a puncture for half of the day.
Yeah, so that was a tough one.
That sucked.
Anyway, next one.
Yeah.
Alright, this is one of mine. Go-to food. Go-to food on the trip, sorry.
We're christening the back wheel with the Pacific. Not yet, we're working on that.
Where do I throw it?
On the back wheel.
Whereabouts?
Just on the tyre.
Alright. So what do we say?
I don't know. Is this technically the